All right, guys, so this is a very late reaction. I fell asleep immediately after when the game was over. I don't know, I've been exhausted today, so I apologize for the late upload for anyone who's going to watch this late. But yeah, Alabama wins 34-0 against Missouri. And you know what? I'll say this. I'm happy that we got the win, right? I'm not going to have that much criticism about this game because there's a lot that I can talk about. But for now, I'm just going to enjoy the win. I'm going to give my immediate reaction to the game. And then when I'm on Ty Hayes' show on Monday, of course, we'll go down and we'll break the game and we'll make our critiques, our heavy critiques. I'm proud of the effort the guys displayed today. I'm very proud of what we did today. We went through adversity. We had a lot of hard challenges today, especially on the offensive side, mainly on the offensive side of the ball. But defensively, man, Missouri had phenomenal field position for like the first 3 quarters of the game. They had phenomenal field position. They were constantly starting off at the 35, at the 40. Sometimes, like I think best case scenario was at the 30-yard line. But they constantly had really good field position because our offense had shitty field position to work with. Again, give credit to, I guess, Missouri, but because of how good this Alabama defense was in terms of getting the 3 and outs, they kept pinning us deep. And this offense, quick 3 and out, quick 3 and out, quick 3 and out. And this defense never faltered. This defense continued to fight. And at the end of the day, this Alabama offense, once it actually started to get going, you saw that the defense was able to get rewarded with long successful drives. And at the end of the day, Alabama pitched a shutout against the top 15 program. Now, listen, I think Missouri is one of the most overrated programs in college football. However, it sucked that Brady Cook was injured, right? He wasn't even supposed to play in this game, but he tried to give it a go. It sucks that he wasn't at full health. This is the second game now where Alabama has played a quarterback, where either they kind of took him out the game in the first quarter or, he's going into this thing really hobbled. Now, that's not Alabama's fault. At the end of the day, you play who you play. But it sucks because I wanted to see what Missouri close to full strength would look like in terms of giving Alabama a challenge, right? What do we look like against a competent football team that has solid quarterback play? And so far against Tennessee, against Vanderbilt, Georgia, we won. Georgia was the game we won, but remember, Georgia came back after after being down 23 points. Vanderbilt beat us and they scored 40 with that option inverted wishbone look. And then, of course, Tennessee was able to win the game. But again, I'm not blaming that solely on the defense because they made the crucial stops. Our offense kind of let us down, which is kind of leading up to the next point is offensively, man, another rough game offensively. Again, I'm not going to get too heavy into the critiques, but all I'm going to say is we had a rough game again offensively. This is the 3rd week in a row where your defense has pretty much carried the weight. And I got to give credit to Kane Womack. Kane Womack has made adjustments. These players are starting to buy into the system. We're playing really good base assignment football. This was probably the best game we've played in terms of the defensive line, staying in their gaps, eating up a lot of the blockers, playing edge assigned football, containing the quarterback, inside of the pocket, not really letting the quarterback break outside as much. Right, we're setting the edge a lot. We're setting the edge a lot more consistently, and we're playing a lot more discipline in terms of pursuit and in terms of tackling. We're a much better football team compared to when we played against Vanderbilt. So that's the one thing I can say. Again, some people are going to criticize me because I said I thought Alabama wasn't supposed to play well on this defense. Never really said that. I just said that I don't think that this defense best suits these players. Alabama has always ran some sort of variation of a 4-2-5, but they never really ran it as their base defense, right? And again, that's to be expected, really, because this is a lot of these players played in a pattern match. They played with a Nick Saban style of defense, now trying to transition to something that's now starting to become their base, and there's new terminology that these guys have to try to understand. You guys can see where I'm kind of going with this, but I got to give credit to Kane Womack when credit is due. He is doing phenomenal, and he's doing a really good job over the last 3 weeks. And when I made my video last week, right, a lot of people were mad when I said that none of these coaches were going to get fired. I said this on Ty Hayes' live stream in Koshan, that none of these coaches were going to get let go of. A lot of people right now, 4 weeks ago, were calling for Kane Womack's job, including me. But guess what? He's not going to go anywhere because he's a young defensive coordinator. If he does go, it won't because he's fired. It will be because he simply is going to. It's simply because he's going to take an upgrade. Whether if it's a head coaching role, whether if it's a defense, whether if it's another maybe elevated DC role with a higher pay grade, he is not going to get fired. Especially because Kalen DeBoer, he's a lot more loyal to his coaching staff. He hires coaches that he has great relationships with, that he has some sort of familiarity with. And again, he will give his coaches time to learn, to develop, and grow. He's not going to fire them. He may demote them. He may demote them potentially. And I still think that Nick Sheridan could get demoted because he was an interim head coach. He was an offensive coordinator that got forced into the position because Ryan Grubb was supposed to be the offensive coordinator. And Jamarcus Shepard supposedly was supposed to be groomed to be in the play caller. Nick Sheridan stepped into the role immediately because, again, he was a tight ends coach that got elevated to an interim or an emergency position, right? But none of these coaches are going to get fired. None of them, at least for this season. So again, we got to give credit where credit is due. We gave Nick Sheridan credit during the first half of the season. Now, all of a sudden, we got to give some credit to Nick Sheridan because this defense is really holding this team together. Now, special teams, special teams, we continue to make some blunders. Offensively, like I said, again, another game where your defense had to carry their own weight. Jalen Milroe I think he's hurt. I think Jalen Milroe is playing hurt. I think he's trying to fight through it. But at this point of the season, everyone's hurt. There's a difference between being hurt and being injured. Everyone, for the most part, is suffering minor injuries, some bruises. Everyone's doing it. But there's a difference between suffering an injury and being hurt. Jalen Milroe's hurt. It is what it is. But he didn't play bad today, but he didn't play great either. A lot of missed throws. Some of it was mechanics. A lot of it was timing and just lack of continuity between the receiver and the quarterback. And some of it was because Jalen Milroe, again, is reading. He's making a couple of reads, but he's not going through the full swing of his progressions. I'm not going to call for his job. Not going to do that because I know how valuable of a quarterback he is once he gets going. But it is frustrating, especially because, this is an Alabama team that, yes, we won 34-0. This offense could have been way better. This offense could have scored 50 on this team if we just would have capitalized off of the looks that they were giving us. But we didn't. We didn't capitalize off the looks of the week that we gave them until late in the first half. Then the second half came when we started to, guess what? Run the football a lot more, start to generate a lot more of that. And guess what? We're going to need that against LSU, which I think LSU lost today. I'm still giving LSU the advantage over Alabama because we have to figure out how to perform under pressure, under duress. When our backs are not against the wall, how do we look, especially on the offensive side of the ball, on both sides? Because one week will be your offense and the other week will be your defense. We don't know what we're getting. So LSU is going to be a much more explosive, much better offense, and their defense are going to take advantage of some opportunities. Their defense sucks, but that's a feisty defense that can cause turnovers, that can force you to make some mistakes, and that is something that we cannot afford to do, especially going on the road in front of 100,000 people in Baton Rouge. You cannot do that in that sort of environment. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Alabama wins the game 34-0. Missouri is not the greatest opponent in the world. We know this. And I did expect Bama to win this game. But the game that I don't expect us to win against LSU, Bama needs to prove me wrong. Because a lot of the things that I still fear that LSU can do are still there. Despite them losing and despite us winning, we won 34-0. But let's be honest, it's not the best game in the world for us. It's a great win for us and a huge momentum booster for this team, especially going into the bye week. You got time for your players to rest. You have plenty of film to watch. You know what, like, you have a lot, there is no excuse if you lose to LSU. None. You lose to LSU, your season's over. It's done. Your season's over. But if you win, your season is alive. And now all of a sudden you have to win the next 3 games in order for you to make it to the college football playoffs, despite not playing for a conference championship. So we'll see what happens. But just my immediate reaction, I'll get more, we'll get deeper into it when I'm on Ty's Hayes Show on Around the Table Sports. So make sure to kind of follow him on all his social media platforms. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.